What's up, everyone? I'm Shafi Malik, and you're listening to the Who Dropped the Popcorn podcast. The premise is simple. One of us picks a film that we know the others haven't seen. We all watch it, and we come here to discuss it. Joining us tonight is Dave McHugh.
Aloha.
Andy Newlands.
Everybody was.
And all the way from the north of England, Kyle Hammond.
What are we? Some kind of Suicide Squad?
Here's your warning. We'll be going into heavy spoilers. So if you haven't seen the film, we thoroughly recommend you watch it before listening to this. Here's another warning. The film that we've chosen today is from Hong Kong. So we apologize beforehand if we mispronounce any Chinese names.
Soundos. So, Shaf, it was your choice at the end of the last episode to choose the film. So do you want to talk a little bit about why you chose it, the name, and anything else you want to say about this insane film?
Yes, so I have chosen 1987's Eastern Condors, directed by Sammo. My last choice was a bit kind of controversial because both Dave and Kyle had a bit of an quandary with it because it had a lot of issues that they felt like they didn't feel that comfortable talking about. So I thought, well, let's just...
What was your last choice?
Was Sorry to Bother You.
Oh, wow. Fucking hell, that seems ages ago now.
I know, it's mad, isn't it?
Racists.
Yeah, probably because they're racist. So that's why. I've chosen this film. It's one of my favorite action films. I mean, I've wanted to choose a martial arts film for a while, and I thought, well, what's the best sort of crossover martial arts film? A film that won't kind of go too deep into the kind of long fight scenes, that kind of has the action gunplay as well as martial arts. And I thought this would be perfect. So
yeah, nice. Good balance.
I think what I'm going to do is this episode, I think we should just try and talk about just the action genre in general and what you guys the films you guys love, and don't love.
All right.
And we'll go from there. But yes, we will be talking about this film, and we'll be talking about my love of Hong Kong cinema in the 80s and 90s, and also what Dave loves about it and what we love about martial arts cinema.
So Kyle, Andy, you can just
you guys can fuck off.
Whatever, mate. I know loads of action films.
Before we get on with the talking about the film, I was sort of doing some thinking the other day and throw the ball to you guys about what adult action films you saw that you probably were too young to watch.
Dangerous Tides, Janet Jameson.
Adult action films.
Oh, adult. I thought adult. Oh,
as in
sorry.
Basically 15 or 18 certificate.
Oh, these are all like triple X.
I'm sure like you've written these jokes before, haven't you? I sent the message on WhatsApp. You probably thought I'm going to say this really funny joke, and Kyle fell for it.
Someone says, "What adult movies did you enjoy when you were too young?"
I said action films.
Yeah, but yeah,
Dave's joke writer gave me some money to laugh at Dave's jokes.
Yeah. So Kyle, what was sort of like the first action, like adult, action films for sort of like that 15, 18 certificate that you sort of watched as a kid?
Probably, funnily enough, it was probably either Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee films, because
wow.
when we were in like year 3, year 4, year 5, you'd be like, take Channel 4 tonight at 1 a.m, because Honor of God
You're
is
right, trash.
Meals, yeah, Meals on Wheels is on, or sorry, Wheels on Meals.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it might have been them. It might have been James Bond, probably like a Roger Moore James Bond. I don't know.
But that's nice action. That's nice action. Like the Jackie Chan stuff is pretty nice. You could get away with that. But
I probably saw Robocop and Terminator 2 around the same time.
So watch? So did you watch Terminator 2 upon release when it came on VHS?
So yeah, when it went either to VHS or to Sky, yeah.
Yeah, so that was a year. So we were 9 years old.
I had toys from it when it was in the cinema,
right.
But obviously didn't watch the actual film until I was able to watch it.
Right.
The first Van Damme film I watched was Kickboxer, so God knows how young I was when that came out. So that was 89, was it? So that would probably been another Sky Movies job as well.
It depends massively whether you watch it, because I watched most of mine on TV, so a lot of it would have been cut, I guess. Like a fair bit would have been cut. But I watched Predator on a proper VHS version with my dad. It's like, you have to watch it with me. And I was only about 9 when I watched that. So it's like, that was the first one that I watched properly on a VHS copy. And again, it's like, it's cool, it's awesome. I don't think it's going to affect you. You know, you're just watching Predator. It's great. Enjoy yourself. It's so much fun.
I watched Escape from New York or LA or something, and that freaks me out. Like, there's this mad bit where he's like on a surfboard or something, like riding a wave or whatever. That's
Escape from LA.
Is that LA?
Yeah, it's from Escape from LA.
I was too young for that when I was watching that.
I have no recollection of that. I have no recollection of Jackie Chan films being on Channel 4.
Because when they released the Bruce Lee biopic, I'd already seen 4 or 5 Bruce Lee films.
Wow.
When did that come out? That was 93, 94?
Yeah. That was a shit film. But I did quite like the fight in the sawmill. Like a fake fight, but a real fight.
Is that shit
film?
I loved it. I've not seen it for 20 odd years, but I loved it.
I remember as a kid not liking it.
I guess it's kind of fun, that fight he has outside, where he's like, "You steal my woman," and they go outside and he kind of gets cut and he's like, tastes his own blood and he's like, "Bah!" And he goes ape shit and like fucks them all up in the alleyway. I don't know, maybe shit is a bit harsh, actually. Sorry, yeah, it is a bit harsh. Yeah.
Can we just go back to Kyle saying Terminator 2? So yeah, we did so that was when we were about 9 years old when that came out, and
wow,
and us watching that, I was talking to a friend about this. Terminator 2, first thing is that there is some like weird stuff that happens in that film regarding like so Sarah Connor's in that institute.
Oh God, yeah.
And then, you know, the guard, like before he locks the room, he like runs his tongue along her face, and you know, as a kid, it just freaks you out, right?
That's worse than anything in Robocop. That's the thing that was always forgotten about these films. That's
a guy gets his dick shot off in Robocop.
But do
you actually see the dick come off though?
No, of course you don't. The guy gets melted by acid or whatever.
No, but I get Dave's point.
That's all just gruesome stuff. That, like playing Mortal Kombat, it's all just gruesome. It's not real, is it?
But it's just basically hinted, isn't it? It's not. Terminator 2. A lot of people don't realize that even though it's like got this huge bombastic action, you know, it's like one of the kind of like biggest blockbusters, you know, at that time. It's really patient in its first like 20 minutes, because let's say if you'd not watched any trailers or anything like that, having seen Terminator 1, you would probably for the first 20 minutes still think that Arnie was the villain, because there was nothing, you know, and it really sort of is. And I don't think blockbusters are that patient anymore. Dave, and we've got a different question for you. What were the sort of first martial arts films you started watching?
Oh, it was like literally Kickboxer and Bloodsport. That was it. I don't even know how I found them. Like I stumbled across Kickboxer and Bloodsport, because that's my earliest recollection is just those 2 films.
I watched them with my mum. That's how me and my brother watched them with my mum.
Yeah. I just something about Kickboxer and
Kudos to Karen
Bloodsport.
for letting me and Shay to watch like films we should be watching.
But yeah, it's great though. It's only fighting and stuff. It's good fun, you know. It's nice.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I was going to say, is that I think the reason why I was allowed to get away with watching these films was because I think they probably thought action and violence or whatever is quite harmless, but when it came to boobies or, you know, like, you know, sex scenes, that's it. It's being switched straight off, you know. But
yeah, because like there's no boob action in any of Arnie's films really. There was like no women really in these films, was there? Though, because it was kissing. Like these action stars never kissed like a girl really ever, did they?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Well, because I've just watched The Running Man recently, he
kisses her right at the end.
Fucking hell. I mean, that is just an odd thing. Like, he breaks into this woman's flat. He ties her up, and then he kind of demands that she runs away with him. And then when she refuses, he like pulls the bench off the floorboard, because I'm going to say please. So, you know, and the fact is, and then at the end, there's no sort of like chemistry between them, but then at the end he kind of goes in for a kiss, which is crazy.
I mean, admittedly, she did find out that he was framed, and he did, I guess, save her life. So, it's very James Bondy, I guess. But, he was framed for the Bakersfield massacre.
So regarding me and sort of like martial arts films, so I remember being 9 years old and going to London, and my cousin taking me to like a video shop, and then we were trying to figure out what to watch, and then like him looking at a Jackie Chan film, going, "Have you seen any Jackie Chan films?" I said, "No," and he goes, "Oh mate, you're definitely gonna love this." And then so we hired out Project A, and and it was unlike anything I'd seen. But then during that sort of night, when I was like 9, 10, 11, was when it was like the heyday of those Jean-Claude Van Damme, Dolph Lundgren films. And so, I was watching kind of Kickboxer and Death Warrant and Red Scorpion and Showdown in Little Tokyo and all that stuff as quite a young age. And then I thought that around about 11, 12 was when what Channel 4 did was they played these Jackie Chan films every Friday night about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And that's when I saw Police Story for the first time. That's when I saw Operation Condor and Armour of God for the first time. But actually, even before that, Golden Harvest released. So Golden Harvest, the studio behind this film that we're going to talk about, they released a compilation film called The Best of Martial Arts. And I'm pretty sure both Kyle and Andy, I must have shown it to you when you came over to my place, because I used to show it to everyone. And it was just basically a compilation of fight scenes that went on for 2 hours. And so regarding that scene in Armour of God, I know where he's fighting the 5 women. Like, I know that off the back of my head that I know the moves, the cuts, the sound effects, the soundtrack, like everything about that scene. I know like the back of my hand. Yeah. And then what it was is when we were around about 13, 14, I remember Dave talking to me about Kickboxer, and then we started talking about kind of like martial arts and action films. Me going, "Well, have you seen Hard Boiled?" And him not knowing what I was talking about. Then I lent him Hard Boiled. And that was basically how like mine and Dave's like friendship kind of started. It was like that, the love of like Hard Boiled, and the love
Hard Boiled changed my life. Like, it really did. Like, it's not an exaggeration. That's when I realized there was just this whole other level. And I'm quite glad I did it in that direction. So I kind of, not to slag Jean-Claude Van Damme in any way, because I think Hard Target, it should be up there with all of that other stuff. But it was quite nice that I did in that direction, because if Shafi, you watched sort of Project A first and then was sort of watching the late 80s, early 90s other Western ones, I'd be a bit like, oh no, this is a drop down. But for me, it was always going up. It was just this upward trajectory where I really enjoyed the discovery. And I still love Kickboxer, and Bloodsport I struggle with a bit. I find when I watch Bloodsport, it's great. It's such a fun film, and it's great fun, but it really looks bad at times, Bloodsport. When you watch Bloodsport, it really looks like a million miles from actually hitting the person. And it's just too much slow-mo, and it's just too safe. None of these, I don't think any of those fighters really risked it. Jackie Chan would go in and might die, basically. That was Jackie Chan's commitment to this. But I don't think anyone in Bloodsport risked a black eye. I'd be like, come on, let's do it. This is our chance. This is your one chance. If we get punched properly once, it doesn't matter too much. Don't kill me with a roundhouse kick. But
there's a couple of bits in Eastern Condors where I'm like, did they do that for real? Because they must be like paralyzed from that.
That's mad, isn't it?
So the thing is that it's funny though, because Jean-Claude Van Damme's earlier film was No Retreat, No Surrender, and that was actually done Hong Kong style, that action, because it was directed by Corey Yin, who we're going to be talking about later on. Yeah, it's funny that
it's incredible.
Those fights are so fast, and that kind of and it sort of regressed to like a kind of a slower. And to be honest, it's kind of like, it's just like a different flavor. I mean, it's not saying that one is better than the other. Some people might actually prefer the action in those
sort of heavy slow-mo, and it's like that big kicks and stuff. But like watching watching No Retreat, No Surrender, it's so insanely fast, isn't it? It's just like, whoa, fuck me. And maybe some people say, look, I can't even take all that in. I prefer the slow-mos, but it's mad. Like, I know it's weird. If I'd seen that instead, and I mean, it's not as famous because Jean-Claude Van Damme was the baddie at the end, but the first time I saw that fight, it's just crazy. Like, Jean-Claude Van Damme, it's like a wrestling match as well. He like pulls out the cord from the thing and wraps it around his neck and stuff.
No Retreat, No Surrender. You need to remind, because it's been a while since I've seen it, Dave, but I think it's basically, there's a kid whose brother his older brother is a martial artist. This kid,
that's best of the best, mate. It's best of the best you're talking about.
Was it? Okay. The kid idolizes Bruce Lee. So what happens is the ghost of Bruce Lee starts teaching him martial arts in his garage. And
it's not the ghost. He's reading it from a book, but he's got let's just say he's got a vivid imagination, so he learns it from a book. So it's quite a unique twist on things, really.
Yeah, and then basically the big bad guy is Jean-Claude Van Damme. The fights are pretty damn good. So
all three of them hold up to Hong Kong standard.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
it's incredible, and that makes me think there must be a few other Western ones that hold up, because if you look at the ratings, it doesn't differentiate. And I'm like, no, there must be like an American Ninja 3 or something that is the shit, and you just don't know about it. So I need to check these all out, no matter what it takes. I need to watch all of these films.
So, so one more thing before we get onto the film, but I'm not sure if you remember, but BBC Two did an actual martial arts sort of night. It was like one Saturday night where they played. So they did like a couple of documentaries about martial arts cinema and Hong Kong cinema and stuff like that. And then they played Enter the Dragon. Wow. Then they had some more kind of documentary stuff like that. And then they played The Prodigal Son.
Three Ninjas.
No, not Three Ninjas. Then they played The Prodigal Son. Then they had like a whole load of documentaries after that, and then they did Touch of Zen. They had to Touch of Zen.
Wow.
And then for the rest of the night,
that's really highbrow though. That's really highbrow.
Yeah. And then the rest of the night they played episodes of Monkey back to back. So, Andy, do you remember Monkey?
So I'm really sorry, I don't remember Monkey. I'm sorry.
Monkey was Dave. What was Monkey? I don't even know.
I haven't seen any of Monkey really, but I've seen loads of it. But I haven't seen.
Used
any
to be on
of it,
Sky
so
One
really
back in the day.
Yeah,
it's Monkey.
It's
like a fantasy, like a martial arts TV show, where basically these animals.
Late 70s or 80s.
Yeah, I think early 80s. I think it must be.
Just to like ride a cloud like a magic carpet and stuff. It was brilliant.
Yeah,
it was just wonderful. It was wonderful. It was what everyone wants to be. It just was.
Yeah. So there you go. That's
Can you stream that? Is there anyone?
I'm sure you can. I'm sure. Didn't they redo it? Didn't they do like
a reboot? Yeah, they did.
They must have done.
That's outrageous.
So okay, let's get to Eastern Condors because we've gone quite long. So Andy, would you care to recap this film?
Hey, what's that you say? It's Andy's articulate analysis.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what happened in this film. So my understanding is there was some weapons that had been left in Vietnam, and the US government wanted them to be destroyed so they didn't get into the hands of the Viet Cong. And then this is why it gets a little bit mental. I don't know why they didn't just send in the army. They seemed to pick some prisoners, and I don't know whether those prisoners were like just to kind of be a decoy, I guess. But anyway, these fucking legend prisoners like end up in the jungle and like kind of like, what is this film? Is this film a comedy? Is this film a martial? And then I'm like, yeah, no, it is a comedy because there's this stuttering guy that like has to open his parachute after 20 seconds, and when he lands on the floor, he's only on 16. So I was like, okay, this is.
I proper laughed out loud at that bit.
I know if you've got stuff,
that's one of the funniest jokes I've ever seen in film.
Count in your head. That's what I've done. Count in my head.
Yeah.
He's like,
so.
Well, no. The fact is, he saw it as a problem, and if he'd only told them, "Well, I've got this stuttering problem," someone could have just said, "You can just count in your head, mate. You don't worry about that." It's fine. 16.
Yeah, so yeah, that's it. They just go on a mad adventure, and then there's lots of other bits I don't quite understand. It's like this lieutenant guy that's like, oh, find my brother. So they're like, I think the brother is like pretending to be like. Turns out he's not mentally disabled. He's actually pretty badass himself. And then like there's these like gorilla girls like who are quality, and then it's just mental. It's just like the difficulty that I had when I was going through this film was like, because I've seen so many films, I hadn't realised how many like big proper films had like taken stuff from this movie. So I wish I would have seen this movie 20, 30 years ago. Just crazy shit. The adventures they get on, like kids playing Russian roulette, but not with their own brains, like other like point blank shooting, people's hands getting. And anyway, sorry, I'm going off piece. So basically, yeah, they're going through the jungle, and they're just going on these mad adventures. And the next minute, it's fucking Rambo 3 with machine guns, the bridge over the River Kwai. Then they're in this GoldenEye base. You think Pierce Brosnan is going to turn up, and then fucking Mr. Hayes turns up.
You could hear the game music.
Yeah, totally. Honestly, it was quality. Yeah, and then they they save the day. And then for me, oh God, the last 20 minutes of this film is just the fucking coolest thing ever. Like, don't get me wrong, I liked the jungle stuff. I liked the Russian roulette and the bridge scene and all the fights and all the rest of it. But it's just mad, this film. It's got everything. It's got missiles, it's got kung fu, it's got, as Guy was saying earlier, like he plays the main character if he would have had sex with Shafi, because they kind of look like a hybrid of the two of them. It's just insane. And this is like motorbike with like balloons on it and everything, which I'm gonna fucking make my motorbike look like tomorrow on the way to work down the avenue. So that's kind of it, I think. That's it. I don't really understand this film. I don't get it. I don't really fucking know what the hell was going on, but it was a good adventure, and another great shout by Shafi Malik. Did
you enjoy it, Andy? That's the most important part.
Yeah, like I must admit, like the first half hour, I was like, what is this? Like, is it slapstick? Is it comedy? Is it martial arts? Because at some point it's like, Jesus, this is the most insane martial arts film I've ever seen. And then like other bits, it's like, this is some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen. Like it goes from like funny, witty one-liners to suddenly you're Robert De Niro playing Russian roulette, and then it's like really good fight scenes, and then like it'll go to like some woman just doing roly-polies to enter a door for no reason, but that's fine. And like I like the fact that like all I've done for the last 5 years, 10 years or whatever is watch the Avengers, CGI and all the rest of it. It was lovely just to sit down and watch a movie where it was all like physical. It was just human beings doing physical acts, because I don't see that in the sort of movies that I watch these days. So yeah, it was great. It was really, really good and really funny. But obviously, just a lot going on, and fucking, this ain't a film where you can look at your phone for a second because everything's in subtitles as well. So you got to be like, shit, what's going on now, and where are they, and all the rest of it. And just those gorilla girls were so badass as well. But yeah, the best thing for me out of this film was just how much I can see other films have not stolen or taken or whatever, but it's definitely influenced, I think, certain films, particularly the likes of Stallone. So
yeah, that point blank machine gun bit, Rambo 4, is definitely stolen that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, it was great. It was great.
It's interesting because it sort of feels like the baton was being passed, because I think this film possibly is influenced by that second Rambo film, just in its genre. That's all. Like just in its, the fact. I mean, I'm pretty sure that second Rambo film was hot shit at the time, and that was in '85. This was released in 1987. Right. So, possibly the popularity of that second Rambo film possibly instigated maybe the idea or just the genre of them sort of making a film like this. So it's interesting that, you guys are dead on right, that Rambo 4, because that Sylvester Stallone is, wholeheartedly said that he's a big like Hong Kong like cinema action fan. So yeah, I mean, I think you guys rightly say that possibly Rambo 4 was influenced by the madness of this as well.
Yeah, man, it was great. And I've just one other thing, like the villain. I just want to shout out to the villain. We'll talk about him later, but that little fucking giggly villain.
So it's Yuen Wah.
Oh, it's just so good to have a villain who's a badass. Yeah. And it was all like, they're almost like we were talking about the other day in Bond films where they were literally going up the stairs fighting one boss after the other. It was quite good that was in the movie as well. Like they were just getting to the final boss and then like, oh God, so good.
Andy, have you seen Shang-Chi?
I'm really sorry again. I've not seen anything apart from Will Smith movies and
no, Shang-Chi is the Marvel film.
The Marvel film, Shang-Chi, the most recent one, the Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
It's on Disney Plus, mate.
It's like one of the it's like one of the biggest blockbusters of last year.
No, I've been in. I only watched Ant-Man.
Kyle, do you recognize him from?
Yeah. He's the guy that teaches Aquafina to bow and arrow, isn't it? Yeah. But when I watched Shang-Chi, I recognised him anyway. I'm like, I know that guy from something. And think, well, obviously it was an old Jackie Chan film.
Kung Fu Hustle, mate. That's his finest role.
I've never seen a martial arts film as well. Like that bit where the villain is doing the fucking eagle claw, and he is in his shoulder. Badass. Holy fuck! I was like, this is insane.
I've never seen that. The cat's paw used with such effect.
Yeah,
it was mad.
Is that what's called? Like, cat's paw. Fucking hell.
Maybe.
Nice.
I mean, there is a it is referred to as the cat's paw in some Kung Fu films, but it's nuts, isn't it? It just feels like he's going to rip his old.
Believe what's happening.
He's pulling his shoulder blades apart. Yeah.
I just love that whole base. I thought Sean Bean was going to turn up as well at one point. It was just amazing.
I love the first kick he does where the guy just runs towards him and just fucking pulls him with that kick. The guy's been about 10 metres,
I'll tell you what, the best bit is where he gets the chain and hangs the guy. That's unbelievable, that.
And just think that's still practical as well. So God knows that guy was probably hanging himself at that time.
The best bit is when Sammo Hung jumps from about a mile up, holding 2 grenades, and then just lands in the truck, punches that guy out, and goes, "Come on,
okay. We're gonna talk about our best bits. We're gonna talk about our best bits. Dave, would you say of that sort of era of like Golden Harvest and Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung films, would you say this is probably the most serious and sort of intense of those sort of films?
Yeah, I mean, it does. It's interesting, the balance, like Nunes was saying about sort of comedy and how they talk to each other at times, and then some insane violence, like when he's standing on a girl's hand and it's been chopped off, and he's like, "I'm going to fucking stand on your stump of a hand." So yeah, I've never seen that level of sort of. It would be the last film that you would show your children as they were growing up. Would probably be Eastern Condors. Because he does. One of the girls like stabs that guy in the bollocks, and then there's
asshole, mate, in the asshole.
And it was in the asshole.
I saw that at 10 years old.
Well, this is explaining a lot now.
And there's like this weird homage to The Graduate, where the other woman just pops up from behind it as homage to The Graduate, and I'm like, fucking hell, that's nuts.
Mate, it's like, mate, what would you do if you just put your legs over your head? And if this woman is going to bring a giant machete down to your arse crack, and now what? And now, mate, can you just stay there while I zoom the camera over your arse crack from the foreground to the background, where we do a close up of this woman's face? Is that okay?
It was you say, I'm saying nutsack. You guys are saying arsehole. Let's agree it's the gooch.
Yeah,
he gets a gooch stabbing. I've never seen a gooch
stab.
Yeah, so yeah, it's definitely the last film I show my children.
Yeah.
No one wants to get a gooch stabbing, never. But
no.
I suppose better.
But an arse crack stab is not that bad.
Yeah, it's fucking mental, because that scene is awesome.
I went in the hot tub earlier, and I was trying to do that thing where.
Why are you rubbing your nipples while talking about it?
Where that person goes upside down in the water cage and takes
Oh,
the rope
yeah,
off.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, God almighty, man. Like,
No.
next
I
level.
thought you were going to say you tried to jump out of the water like they do when they land on the boat, like a dolphin just come out of the water.
I know, they needed one more scene where
mate.
she's actually standing on the boat, and then she's just like,
Honestly.
breaches out of the water and just like, "Wah!" It's so cool,
So
though. I
cool.
love it, though. It's just so fucking mental. It just stabs the shit out of everyone.
Yeah.
It's so enjoyable.
Okay, so back to you, Kyle. What's your overall opinion on this?
Yeah,
film?
I loved it. Yeah, it was fun. It was good. It's a good mix of comedy and like gore and action. A little bit too much slow mo for my liking. Every kind of like big fight seemed to have a weird slow mo, and then the echoey like Street Fighter kind of when you defeat. But other than that, yeah, it's great. It's really great.
Yeah.
That's I don't know, if you watch a load of those films, that's the rhythm, like, you know, it's pa, 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 whoa, pa, 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 like that. You sort of know the rhythm.
Other than the final fight, they're all quite short, aren't they? They're not. There's no like long fights really.
Yeah.
They need to have less scenes of people pissing in the jungle. Every 10 minutes, someone's going for a piss. I don't know what the fuck's going on with the directors. Like, we need another piss scene. Like, what the fuck is going on?
What we did? We haven't got a script. What we're gonna do this next scene? I might as well just piss in the jungle.
Take a piss.
I'm pissing in the rain, no one can see, and it gets gunned down instantly. Yeah, mate, they can see. What are you on about? Yeah. Do you remember the scene where young Beard sort of kills those three dudes? He sort of like fucking double kicks them both in the head. Then he flicks up the sort of coconut thing. It's like a Nike football advert.
Oh,
and then
God, yeah.
That is literally the inspiration for every Nike advert in the 90s. I was like, oh, that's so badass. Honestly, have you, Kyle, Newlands, have you seen Enter the Dragon?
I'm sorry, once again, I've not seen any movies outside of Will Smith.
That is honestly, it is a kung fu Bond film. It's really good. It's really enjoyable, and I guess that is the reason why a billion people took up kung fu, really, isn't it? Enter the Dragon is the film because it was like everyone wants to be James Bond, and then everyone suddenly wants to be Bruce Lee. It's just like, it's fucking great. It really is cool, and it's got all the James Bond traits. Feels like Dr. No a bit, but it's his own film. It's his own unique film. It's really, really worth a watch. It's brilliant. It's wonderful. It's fantastical, amazing film. It really is cool, and maybe the coolest poster ever.
I'll get involved.
Yeah, I think you'd love it, Andy, for the score, just for the music. You would love it.
Yeah, geez, I didn't even mention it.
Yeah, you'd love it. Yeah, and also that's a film. If you watch Enter the Dragon, you realize how much has influenced so many films as well. Yeah. Because loads of films, there are so many sort of similarities.
I've not seen it for years, so I can only remember the mirror stuff at the end. The rest I can't really remember.
Yeah. It's really hard to remember the film. Like, it's weird. That's so famous, that mirror scene, because it's all cut up and it's all famous. It's so famous.
So that was honestly. So basically, just like a simple primer on kind of like Hong Kong cinema was that there was a big studio around the 70s called the Shaw Brothers, and a lot of martial arts kind of classics came from that studio. And then around about the 80s, there's another studio called Golden Harvest was kind of starting. And actually, no, probably like mid 70s, it was kind of like the rival to Shaw Brothers. And what it was is that Bruce Lee came to Shaw Brothers, and the Shaw Brothers that weren't, too sort of impressed with Bruce Lee. So he went to Golden Harvest instead. He started developing this American film with Golden Harvest. So then they did this huge, they had this kind of big tentpole called Enter the Dragon, and that's what sort of blew everyone's away. That's what put Golden Harvest in sort of like the forefront of sort of Asian kind of action cinema. And so the sort of generation that came after Bruce Lee, sadly passed away, was Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, basically the lead guy in Eastern Condors, who directed this film as well, and Yum Bu. So Yum Bu is the guy with the kind of the curtains, the kind of like the hair that goes over his eyes.
Is it called Rats?
the new romantic. It's like got a new romantic look, doesn't it? Yeah.
And they basically what they called themselves the Three Brothers, and because what it was is that they all trained. They weren't sort of raised up in like a Shaolin temple or whatever. They actually came from the Peking Opera, so they basically learned kind of like physical. Their sort of stunt work is all got to do with sort of like learning performing arts. But it was more sort of like acrobatics and stuff like that. So I'm not sure if you've ever sort of seen like, you know, like clips of like a Peking opera or whatever, but it's sort of very like percussion based. There's always sort of like music in the background while they're sort of doing all these sort of acrobats on stage. So these sort of films, these kind of 80s Hong Kong kind of golden harvest films, they're directed in a style where the action is sort of like to a rhythm, you know, and it's all sort of rhythm based. And so with the way kind of the fight, you know, the punches are thrown and blocked and the way it's cut and the way the sound effects are, it's all to a sort of rhythm, which is what I was talking about, kind of like punch, 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 block, 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 and then a big slow motion kind of like hit, you know, and that's what, if you watch enough of them, you'll sort of get that sense of rhythm.
It's like you said with Singing in the Rain as well, didn't you? It is a dance. It's there to just solely entertain. Yeah. It just makes you feel good when you watch it. And it's just like, wow.
Those 70s Shaw Brothers films, that kind of Peking style and you know, Drunken Master and Snake and the Eagle Shadow and stuff like that. All of that stuff is that is more like Peking opera, where there's hardly any cuts in the fight scene, more like a dance than anything. But then what they ended up doing is they found this in the 80s, they changed the style where they were like, well, we want to make these films that are set in modern times, and we want to kind of make the sort of action a bit more visceral, where you feel a punch and you feel a, you know, so that's why they kind of found this sweet spot, which is in between action and dance, is sort of like, it feels like rhythmic, but sort of, you know, hard hitting at the same time.
That's awesome. Like, because it's like the point of these kung fu films are they say, I'll make you look great, you make me look great, and that's the deal. It's like, together we'll dance and we'll make it, because no fight would ever look like that, but it just looks so good on film. It's still brutal. It's still brutal as fuck. You like Drunken Master, Young Master, Snake and the Eagle Shadow. That is a trilogy. Watch those three back to back. And then if you've got time, just throw in the Prodigal Son, because why not? But it's unreal. It just, when you watch those fights up on the cliff edge, and you're just like, oh, it is dancing. It is fucking incredible. Like it's so good. I can't describe it.
So Andy, you're aware of the John Wick films, right?
Yeah, oh, fucking hell, now you're talking. that scene where he's cruising around talking about dancing, the nightclub, the music.
Yeah.
Oh my God, mate.
Yeah.
Dave introduced me to that, and, you know, Dave, you were saying fucking hard-boiled egg or whatever before changed. Like, well, John Wick has changed my life.
Have you not seen Hard-Boiled, Andy?
Again, sorry, I've not seen any film apart from Will Smith films.
Mate,
it's fucking John Woo, mate. So he did Face Off.
Yeah. I've seen Face Off.
Yeah, it's fucking quality, man. And we watched Hard-Boiled just before he started doing American films. He did.
That was like 92.
What was the Travolta and Christian Slater one?
Broken Arrow.
Broken Arrow. I think, was that his first American film?
No, Hard Target.
Hard Target.
Dave said.
Oh, okay, right. Okay.
Which is one of the most underrated films ever made.
No, but sorry, what I was going to say to Andy about John Wick was that's directed by a guy called Chad Stahelski, and what it is that he's basically all the rage now. He's sort of very popular, and the reason why is because he started this company called 8711, and 8711 is basically him and Chad Stahelski as like he was the stunt double for Keanu Reeves in the first Matrix film. He just has kind of like a huge stunt background. He was in like some directed TV, like, you know, Bloodsport 2 and stuff like that. So the thing is that, but what he said is him and all of his sort of stunt like friends, when they started the company and they started working in, you know, doing stunt work, they would just spend their nights watching these type of films, like, you know, 80s like Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, Yumbyo.
Imagine that was your evening.
Just so they would just spend each night. They would be in the gym, and they would just they would kind of do their workout and all that stuff, and do their plan their choreography and all that stuff. But then they would just spend their nights just watching these types of films, just to understand like the masters doing it. Really, you know. So that's why. So funnily enough, you know, people do say that you know, John Wick has sort of like a Hong Kong style. I wouldn't say. I think they've kind of found their own sort of style.
Yeah, it's not Hong Kong style, and it's not in my very, very, very humble opinion. It's not at all.
No, I agree.
It's John Wick style. It's if anything, I still had the idea. I had the idea. John Wick helped. I had the idea when I watched Equilibrium. I thought, just drop the gunfight back a few inches, a few foot, and that's that. And then you've got John Wick. John Wick.
Well, you want to give him a ring, Dave, then, and see if he gets some money.
I know. Yeah. If I didn't say, I didn't tell anyone. But when I was watching Equilibrium,
you obviously spotted his cameo in the Matrix Resurrection. Then.
Yeah. And his name's Chad.
His name's Chad. Yeah. And he is a fucking Chad in that, isn't he? Yeah.
Hard Boiled. I finally got around to watching the special edition version after watching the original maybe 15 times. I mean, it's unbelievable good thriller. It's a really good story. And if you even dropped out those action sequences, it would still be a great thriller. It is unbelievable. Honestly, this special edition of Hard Boiled is one of the greatest films ever made. It really is one of the best films ever made.
And Andy, you know, like the thing is that I think if you watched a film like Enter the Dragon, or even sort of this film, Eastern Condors, you could probably go, well, I've seen this done less good in other films, where I think with Hard Boiled, you'll watch that, and I still don't think that type of action has been matched in any other film.
How can I watch this film? Is it still out?
Come round to mine, and we'll have a few lagers, and we'll watch the special edition of Hard Boiled, and it is unreal. Honestly, it is so good, because sometimes in these kung fu action films, they're like, well, okay, the script and the acting doesn't matter as much. It's not like it's shit, but it doesn't matter as much. But in Hard Boiled, you have everything: great acting, great script, some of probably the finest action you'll ever see. It's not fights. There's no fights really. It's predominantly gun fu, but it is.
You know what, Andy? The film stars a guy called Chow Yun-fat, and he
chewing the fat.
Chow Yun-fat, and
the coolest man.
The thing is, he's the coolest man in the world, and the reason why is because this film opens not with just like him sort of like putting on glasses or whatever. If it opens with him in a jazz bar playing the saxophone.
Dave, it could have been you.
I know.
Is it a clarinet or a saxophone?
It's like it's a clarinet, isn't it? The first thing is clarinet. Like, it's clarinet.
Get him in Buckaroo Banzai.
Tequila slammers, everything about him is the coolest. I don't know what it is about Chow Yun-fat that makes him the coolest person to ever be on film. It's weird. He just is.
There was a news article a few years ago that he is the richest actor of all time, like a billionaire.
Wow.
Is that true?
But he gave it all to charity, I think. He's such a nice guy as well.
Pirates of the Caribbean 3 money, maybe.
I'm starting to see Dave in a new light now. Like, I think you live your life through these characters. I never knew this before, but it's starting to be like...
I live my life vicariously through everyone I've ever met. I just sit here.
But yeah, Andy, watch Shang-Chi, because the second guy from Hard Boiled's in that as well. And he is fucking quality.
The Marvel thing.
Yeah. Watch Shang-Chi, and then watch all these films that we're recommending.
What? Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I've forgotten his name. What is his name?
Tony
Leung.
Yeah, because he's a fantastic actor. He's a fantastic actor before an action star.
Guy that did all the did all the choreography, that planned all the choreography for Shang-Chi is a guy called Brad Allen, and unfortunately he passed away just before the film was going to be released. But he was part of Jackie Chan's stunt team, and he is actually in a lot of Jackie Chan's films. He does like a really great fight with Jackie Chan in a film called Gorgeous, where they sort of both put on these boxing gloves, and it's a really kind of great fight to see. You put that on YouTube, Jackie Chan Gorgeous, and that fight scene will come up.
The guy that's, I forgot the name of the character, the guy that wears is it Death Eater, wears that white mask with the red on it. But yeah, that guy's quality as well. I've seen some behind the scenes videos of him doing shit, man.
Yeah. So they've got a YouTube channel called The Marshall Club, I think. I'm sure lots of people listen to this going screaming at us, trying to correct each name and everything like that. But yeah, he has a great YouTube channel called The Marshall Club.
Andy Lee,
that's it. Yeah, Andy. Yeah. So the thing is that one thing is that there's this wave of short films that have kind of come up on YouTube of these kind of stunt coordinators that make these short films and you can see the clear influence on like Hong Kong cinema in the kind of 80s and 90s that have had in it. I'd recommend a short film called Rope-a-Dope, which is kind of, you could see Jackie Chan and all of this style of kind of martial arts all over it, and it's it's only about 15 minutes long, about 12 minutes long, but it's kind of I'm not going to give anything away, but it's so like tightly there's so many sort of visual jokes in it, and it's perfect. It's just perfect short film.
That's the perfect description. It's perfect. It's the movie that we didn't know we needed, but it's incredible.
It's like the most fun 12 minutes you'll see a film called Rope-a-Dope.
Oh my god, and Rope-a-Dope 2 as well.
Rope-a-Dope 2 is brilliant as well. So if you've got like 25 minutes to spare, then just watch both those films back to back because they're brilliant.
Send me the link, Shafi. I'll put them in the description.
Yeah, excellent. No problem.
Can we talk about the Eastern Condors now?
Yeah. Sorry.
I
warned. I said that we're going to get self-indulgent in this. So, okay. So yeah, let's talk about this cast because, I guess we can talk about MVPs. So Andy, who's your MVP of this movie?
Oh my god, I like the hybrid. The guy that's the guy with the red bandana.
Yeah, that's Sammo Hung.
But I have to just give a shout out to the Gorilla Girl. Did like her.
So the lead girl who gets her arm chopped off.
That's Sammo Hung's wife, Joyce Gadenzi. Sorry.
Yeah, she's hot, man.
I liked the 70-year-old man. I thought he was the gangster, right? But for me,
he was actually 40 when they filmed this.
Yeah, that's the thing. It didn't look something bad. Yeah, for me, it's the villain. Just because he's just stuck with me. That geezer, like, fair play to him.
Yeah, the mom in the Golden Girls was actually the youngest. Crazy.
So the old guy, the guy that they call uncle and stuff like that. He is his name is Yun Wu Ping, and Yun Wu Ping. Kyle, you know who Yun Wu Ping is?
Is he the Matrix guy?
Yeah. So basically, Yun Wu Ping, he's actually like a renowned choreographer director. He directed firstly like some of the early martial arts classics like the Drunken Master and Snake and Evil Shadow, stuff like that. And then what happened was that the Matrix, the Wachowskis, they wanted to bring Eastern action to their sort of American film, so they hired Yun Wu Ping to do all the choreography, and that basically made him like one of the busiest people in Hollywood because they saw that in the Matrix and they sort of used kind of wire kung fu and stuff like that, and he ended up being like employed by practically every kind of like big blockbuster to sort of like choreograph their sort of action scenes. But so then what he ended up doing, he was still sort of making films in Hong Kong. He made a great film called Iron Monkey, and that's kind of got a lot of wire work as well. So when I say wire work, is when people sort of jump up in the air, but they sort of do about 5 kicks while they're up in the air and stuff like that before they land. And then what he's done now, what he's become very famous for is directing the Ip Man series. So basically there's a big Hong Kong star called Donnie Yen who's in Star Wars Rogue One.
Yeah, right. You know him from Rogue One, Andy, the blind guy.
What a legend.
Yeah. So the thing is
that's underrated.
I'm on with the Force.
That's Donnie Yen.
Yeah. So
that fight's really underrated. I think he is.
It's
lightning
a good fight.
Fast. He is absolute lightning fast. Sorry.
All these Ip Man films were directed by Yun Wu Ping.
So I've not seen any of them. Are they worth watching? Not seen any of them.
Yeah, you'll really like them. Oh
my god. Kyle.
And there's
Kyle. The first one is so good.
They're all. I think they're all on Netflix as well. So I need to watch them.
Do all 4 back to back.
Okay, so Kyle, who's your MVP?
I liked. Shit, I've lost it. Sorry, I'm trying to say his name right. Yun Biao.
Yeah,
I thought he had like the best action. I think it was him where they were on the cart with the buffalo. And the cart flips and they all fall out of it. And one of them fucking stacks it and he lands on his neck. I'm like, how is he fucking walking? I think it was him that did that. There's like 2 or 3 occasions where they land awkwardly. Shit. I'm like, how have they put crash mats and then put dust on top to fuck knows. Yeah. A couple of times they're like, there's one bit where a guy gets like a wrestling move where they backdropped him like flat on his fucking neck and back. I'm like, how is that guy all right? Yeah, I thought he probably had the best kind of fight scenes, didn't he? That
yeah, nice. All right, and how about you, Dave?
I'd have to agree. Yeah, because Sammo Hung was really quite in the background, really, wasn't he? He I guess he predominantly directed it. You know, so
funnily enough. So those that don't know, and I'm not sure, just to let you and Andy know as well, is that Sammo Hung he normally plays the comedy character. So he's normally quite overweight, and he's normally the comedy sort of relief in a lot of these martial arts films.
He can move for a bit, can't he, man?
Yeah, he can. Yeah. But he lost a load of weight, and this is like he pretty much has a straight face. He's pretty much the straight shooter throughout this whole film, even like so much so that he has to feel like he has to sort of stick to the mission and cut this girl's hand off and stuff. So.
Yeah, it's bad, isn't it? Yeah, it's really quite weird seeing him like that. I loved him. I thought he was brilliant. He was just so unique. And that scene where they first have the sort of little fight in the little shack, and they're pulling knives, pulling guns and stuff, that was unbelievable. And that's when it's a dance. It's a dance, because that would never happen where you suddenly both have the guns at each other's head and neck instantly at the same time. So it's a gun. It's so it's timing. It's a dance. It's just so beautiful. It's like a comic. And then it's comic gold. Let's talk about this. It's just that scene is so unreal, because he takes on quite a few people and he's like disarming people with knives, guns, trying to stop people pulling knives, stop people pulling guns, and it just ends with them both with guns to each other's head. It's fucking so good, man.
I've got a question. What was your favourite martial arts move?
Ooh.
I'll say what mine is.
I've got an answer, but I'll let you.
Okay, there's a bit in the end when in a silo where 2 guys are flipping in the air, and one guy just manages to like dick kick some other guy in midair. It's fucking quality.
Yeah, that was sort of the end of the fight. I think. Yeah, like game over for that dude.
What about you, Dave?
Maybe the first kick by the main bad dude, when he's just like you say, he
quality,
just straight. Yeah. That's how you want to start a fight, like just straight kick someone straight into their stomach like that. Game over. It was sort of making.
It was sort of like the element of surprise, because he's like a thin guy with like glasses, and but then like the fact and he's making everyone else do the kills for him. You think, he's probably quite weedy.
He's mad. Like he always, obviously, because he can't really be anything other than that in films, and he is like stick thin and stuff. But he's such a badass. The way he moves and stuff. Yeah.
In Dragons Forever, he's crazy.
Exactly. It's just like. And Kung Fu Hustle, one of the best films ever made. Like, I just love his style. And his comedy is so funny in it as well. Oh my gosh, viewers, please watch Kung Fu Hustle if you haven't seen it, because that is comic gold.
The thing I liked was when they're in the forest or jungle or whatever, and he's up a tree, and he's got the 2 knives. He jumps off a tree, stabs the guy. It's insane. And then he does like, fucking hell, I don't know, this might not be like consistent, but then there's like the Ronaldo kick with the fucking coconut thing, and then there's just kicks to the face, and then there's like some other geezer with a rope, and he like pulls a guy up.
Edgar Davids did it in the Nike.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's incredible, isn't it?
The only thing that beat that was when the guy who had the motorbike is in fucking the GoldenEye thing, and he kicks the guy up in the chin. It's oh god, that's genius.
It was cool. But yeah, man.
The flying gravity daggers for me was next level.
Yeah. Sorry, you talking about a Nike advert? I think it was the Brazil World Cup or something, where there was an advert. There was an advert where they're playing, the Brazil team are playing football in the airport.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, true,
98, yeah.
France 98, yeah.
John Woo directed that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
John Woo directed that?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God, really? That's insane.
Yeah.
Can we talk about leaf guns?
Yes.
Please
Fucking
do.
quality.
I
Oh my
spent all
God.
afternoon in the garden trying to get the rabbits.
Is that a real thing? Because that is absolutely quality. I'm guessing it's not, but
I'm guessing not, but still, we like to come. But then again, what? That can't be CGI, can it? So, yeah, I'm sure. I don't know how we managed.
Well,
to
they
create
actually
that
got some
contraption.
extras and just killed them. We do things real on this set. I'm sorry, you're going to die now. You were paid well.
Yeah.
that's like MacGyver shit, man. Just using what you've got.
So basically, we sent out tweets saying that asked people to share their thoughts on the film. Andy Gorham at Andrew M. Gorham. Okay, so he said, great movie. So many excellent fights and actors on board for this movie. Contains one of my favorite spinning roundhouse kicks from Yambio in any film.
Well said, sir.
Yeah, it's great. The great Matt Azery, who's kind of like a big appreciator of Asian cinema and particularly South Asian cinema. He has a podcast called Video Culture, which is great. And he has said that I've always wanted to see the version of Eastern Condors with the prison basketball scenes restored. I can't believe those bits never surfaced. Also, I say this is one of the best of the innumerable Dirty Dozen riffs. So yeah, it is kind of like.
So is there a basketball scene when they were in prison then? I didn't.
Apparently there's a whole section of them being in prison where there's like a fight in a basketball court and other sort of fight scenes in prison. So so yeah, it's a shame because what happened was that when this was first released in the UK, the BBFC did significant cuts. The scene when Yambio, when you first meet him and he rips the head off the snake.
Yeah.
Yes.
They cut that scene, and it was only recently that scene has resurfaced.
That's a real snake.
Is that a real snake?
It's a real snake. Yeah, it was already dead, but
there you go.
I didn't see this bit. My DVD version must have not had that.
Oh, yeah, so there you go. That explains it. There you go. So they cut that version. Yeah.
But the bit where he kind of twists the snake head off.
Yeah.
But it was a bit pointless because he's just talking and does it. It's like, why? What was the point of that whole bit?
Yeah, I thought that. I was like, is it to show him?
He's trying to show that he's not. Yeah, he's not scared of snakes, I guess. So yeah. So the Outlaw Vern, a big guy, appreciative action films. He's been, really for years and years. He's been writing about kind of DTV action films, and just he actually responded to our tweet saying, a classic. I love how it feels like a Rambo era American movie combined with the very best of Hong Kong action. Joyce Gudensky, who plays basically the lead of the Guerrilla Girls, is incredible. My favorite part is when she gives this look, and basically he sent a pic of when they're underneath the truck, and she looks at Yambio kind of with a sort of look of disdain. But yeah.
She was a beauty pageant winner, wasn't she? She's not like a.
She was Miss Hong Kong.
Yeah,
she was Miss Hong Kong.
She was really pretty.
So at Shin Invind Ninja, sorry if I pronounced that wrong. It's straight up one of the very best mission action films in my book.
Quality. Well said.
And at Echo Lee #2, one thing that's always stuck with me from a review I read about 20 years ago, one of the few Kung Fu movies that have made peace with the existence of firearms, which is, I guess you could say, because those like Ringo Lam, John Woo, Johnny To films, you wouldn't really call them martial arts films. I mean, they do sort of contain elements of martial arts, but they're more sort of full-on action films. So yeah, this is like a very rare hybrid.
I do love the whole bit with the machine gun nests, man. That's quality.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
I'd have been so upset if the film had ended at that kind of point where it could have, in theory, I guess, ended with that shootout. But then when the moment the lights went on in the silo, I was like, oh yes, oh yeah, I know just looking at the layout, I knew we were in for some carnage. And my God, did it deliver.
That scene where they're on the bridge. So the two actors who they call Uncle, and also the guy with the permanent cigarette in his mouth.
Yeah.
So as I said, Yuen Woo-ping, who plays Uncle, he's like a legend in Hong Kong cinema. But sitting next to him, the guy with a cigarette in his mouth, is another kind of very well-renowned martial arts director called Corey Yen, who directed the first Transporter film.
Oh, okay. Wow.
He directed Righting Wrongs, which me and Dave were talking about earlier today. Just like two legends just sitting next to each other sharing the scene. It's just for any sort of Hong Kong cinema fan, it's a big
I have to confess I haven't seen the film, but it's just almost impossible, and I've seen 2 or 3 fights from it, and it's just unreal, isn't it? My God.
Yeah, that, and Yes Madam as well. He directed that with Michelle Yeoh and Cynthia Rothrock. And our good friend Scott Wiley, friend of the podcast, he says one of the few roles Sammo put in work to cut weight and look like a soldier should in his mind. It has some of the best fights in any of his films, and the seriousness which it presents itself really makes it stand out from other films of that era.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because there's 3 fights at the end. You get 3 fights, don't you? It's unreal. Those fights are off the chain.
So Sammo Hung, he has a fight kind of at the top of the stairs with someone, and that guy is called Billy Chow, and he normally sort of plays like the big boss at the end that they have to defeat, and he's in probably one of the best fight scenes ever in a remake of the Fist of Fury called Fist of Legend. And so that's Kyle. I think in the Mortal Kombat episode you were talking about kind of fight scenes that last like really long. Well, Fist of Legend has a fight between this guy called Billy Chow and Jet Li, and it lasts for a while, but it's such an epic fight scene. It's incredible. It's just, I mean, Dave's less of a fan of it, but I think it's one of the very best.
It's a great fight. He's like, because he's dressed up like a soldier, isn't he? He's got those green soldier on, and those brown boots.
Such a hard bastard as well. He sort of like headbutts him all the time.
Yeah, he headbutts through the glass to headbutt him and stuff. It's just a nutter. Yeah, it is. Oh, it's nice. It's great. It is great. Yeah, I should be more kind to that.
Cool. Yeah, thanks everyone that got in touch with us. Thank you very much. Yeah,
nice.
That was really cool. And please, if you still have thoughts about the film, please contact us. We'd still read them out in whatever episode we find.
100%. Yeah.
Cool. Any other thoughts about this film?
That water cage is some torture there because you can't sleep. It's fucking horrendous.
I always used to think I might have drowned myself if I could just hold myself under, just finish it. Who knows? Not situation to be in, man.
Thanks, Dave.
What's it just every Monday morning?
Every time I have a bath.
Let's just end it now. I'd like to have seen Rob De Niro kind of push Christopher Walken up and over and do the somersault thing. I think that would have been a cool thing to do. Yeah, that would have been a cool thing.
If only they had Sammo Hung and Yambio there. The guy that starts the film a bit of a nutter, but he actually ends up not being a nutter, that's a guy called Han Gore, who actually ended up winning an Oscar.
Oh, wow.
For The Killing Fields. He sadly passed away.
Oh no!
Yeah, in the kind of mid-90s, he passed away. But he won he won an Oscar in the 70s for The Killing Fields. So, in
a mad way, it didn't really feel like an 80s film. Like all the 80s films I've seen, you're like, fuck, that's so 80s. But it kind of does and it doesn't in this film. Like, I don't know whether that's a Western thing or.
No, they said it well. It felt like the 70s. It really did feel like the 70s, didn't it?
Do you know what though? I really love Vietnam films.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I was thinking that this is a Vietnam film, isn't it? And you don't really think about it at the time.
Let's go to the one-word reviews.
It's the one-word review. The one-word review. The one-word review from us to you.
except for Dave, who says, "Oh, so beautiful."
So I'm going to go with Kyle. What's your one-word review?
High flying.
Dave, what's your one-word review?
Explosive.
Explosive. And how about you, Andy? What's your one-word review?
Fucking quality.
Great. Fantastic.
What about you, Shafi?
Right. I hope you know what I think. Stupendous. That's it. Stupendous.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so right now we have actually hit round 5.
Yay!
Wow, really?
It took a while to get there because fucking hell, how long has it been since? What is it? Willy's Wonderland was like mid-December, wasn't it?
We've had an extra one this time though, man, because of Sound of Music remark, haven't we? So.
I thought you were going to go back to how long it's been since you watched that really shit film at the start of all of this. Oh, you mean just Willy's Wonderland?
Oh, fucking hell.
No,
why'd you have to do
What did he say? What's the shit film?
He's talking about Ford vs Ferrari again. That's what he's doing.
got such a great start.
It's round 5.
Nice to meet you.
in the first round for 2022. Andy, start us strong. What's your choice of the next film?
All right, so the next film has got one of my favourite.
Let's check Cineworld and see what's going to be released.
All time. It's a Matt Damon classic. No, I'm joking.
I was looking forward to that.
No, I'm joking. All right, so you guys may know an actor, Mads Mikkelsen.
Holy shit, yeah.
Is it the film? Yeah, I think it's the film that I'm hoping it's going to be. Please.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be watching Riders of Justice.
Yes!
Yeah.
Yes!
I
was going to pick that as my own film, so well done, Andy.
Oh, wow.
I tell you what.
It's on Sky, so go round to Andy's house to watch it.
You lot are going to fucking love it.
Have you seen it, Shafi?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck's sake, you've seen it.
Because Shafi's seen every film. There's no film Shafi hasn't seen.
But it's fine though. I remember I showed you a clip of it one part.
Shafi,
yeah.
I had to throw out all of my Danish currency because I didn't want to catch the coronavirus.
Fuck you,
Very good. Very good. Okay, so please send any questions, comments, praise, hate mail, or one-word reviews to the popcorn postbag at whodropthepopcorn@gmail.com, or follow, harass us on Twitter at whopopcorn, or on Instagram at whodropthepopcorn. You can also leave a review on your podcast app, and please remember, like and subscribe. You've been listening to Drop the Popcorn. We really appreciate it. See you soon.
Bye. See ya.
Take it easy.